Does your house feel tired? Have you gotten through the hubbub of the holiday craziness and maybe you're working on those New Year's resolutions and they're burning strong or fizzling out, and maybe your house and everything in it just kind of got left behind? This episode, we're talking about how to maybe liven it up a little bit.
Or you could just sell it. Thanks for tuning in to the Realtor Moms podcast. I'm Tasha.
And I'm Jamie. We're full-time realtors in the FM and surrounding areas, and admittedly average moms. This is how we sell homes.
And try to keep our kids alive.
Yeah, or you could just sell it. But we're talking today about, does your house feel tired?
Yes. I know before we even started this episode, I was telling Jamie, my house feels tired.
Mine does too.
It feels tired. I need to do a rework. I say I'm going to do it now, but let's be real, I probably won't get to it till fall.
Well,
but either way.
Fall. But spring is coming around the corner.
Yes,
you
but
can at least look
us.
for
You know
think
us.
Positive.
You know us. We're busy realtors in the spring.
We are busy ladies. Yes,
busy
that's
ladies.
For sure. Yeah, we want you to love the house that you're in, and we've done a podcast like this before.
We have. Yes.
But you know, I feel like a lot of this stuff can also apply potentially to a house. Maybe if you are home searching, but it doesn't have all the things that you are really, Pinteresting about, dreaming about. A lot of these ideas can be things that are manageable, and you can maybe do on a weekend.
Yeah, a weekend refresh, or maybe you want to stage your home. I mean, it could be all sorts of ideas.
Right.
But we have a lot of ideas, and we've been chatting back and forth, and we just felt like this was a fun topic to cover today.
We've got some stuff to share. Yeah. So let's just start with the kitchen.
Yeah,
I feel like it's the room.
It's the heart of the home.
Yeah, it's the room everybody goes to before we hit record on this episode. We both said, we've got living rooms or we've got these other rooms in our house, but everybody just hangs out in the kitchen.
Oh, yes. I know that when my family is over and congregating in my house, it's in the kitchen.
Right.
That's where everyone is.
So I think one of the probably most impactful yet simple tips that I have is kind of two-parter. It's take everything off the front of your refrigerator and clean off your countertops.
Oh, yes.
And it sounds simple, but the kids' art projects, last year's bank calendar, we've all got that stuff stuck to the front of our refrigerators. And it just, again, not that it's bad, but if you want to change up the look, that will have a bigger impact than you think.
Oh, yes.
Just doing those things. And then don't get me wrong, you don't have to leave your countertops bare forever. Just start adding things back maybe as you use them and only if you use them frequently.
Correct.
So everything from the toaster to the coffee maker to the mixing, standing,
as much as I want that
thing.
Air fryer off my countertop.
You use it all the time?
My husband and my kids use it all the time. I hate that thing, but it gets used, so it has a spot on the counter.
And maybe once your countertops are clear, maybe you decide to move it over there instead of over here, and it kind of gets protected by the side of the refrigerator. You don't see it from the living room or something, right? I mean, when your countertops are clean, maybe think about moving things into a different area.
I have been thinking of moving in the air fryer to where the toaster sits. The toaster doesn't get used every day in our house.
Breaking news, everybody. She may move the air fryer.
I may move it.
Well, while you're
with my fall projects.
Yeah, in the fall. 8 months from now, she may move her air fryer. We'll update you. While your countertops are clear, before you set the air fryer back on the top, think about some under cabinet lighting.
I know. I want to add this.
Right?
It's something that's on my to-do. I have lots of things on my to-do list. Let's not kid. It's a mile long. But
that's right.
I want under cabinet lighting. I do not want to spend a ton of money for it.
And it depends. Obviously, you can go all the way and
hire an electrician.
Yep, hire an electrician, get some beautiful lighting put in. But maybe you're just not sure if you really need it, or maybe it's not in your budget. There are some really great kind of peel and stick. You stick it to the bottom of the upper cabinets, control it with a remote, and there's
just
some
to give
really
it a
great
try
options
to see if this is what we want to invest money in.
It can absolutely be a temporary thing that you can determine whether or not you want to invest in by just doing something simple like that for the time being. Some of them are battery operated, some of them are plug-in, but it can certainly be a neat way to add some accent lighting, and you wouldn't believe how much brighter it gets underneath those cabinets when you have some under cabinet lighting.
Yes.
I'm spoiled. We had under cabinet lighting in our home, professionally wired in, and it is the first light I turn on in the morning and the last light I turn off at night.
Oh, wow.
Because it's such a cool, warm ambient light. I don't know. I think it's really neat.
Yeah. Well, I know the thing that I always deal with is the clutter, the papers, the school announcements that just end up in the pile.
Why does it end up in the kitchen?
On the counter.
The mail.
The mail.
The mail. Yep.
The junk mail that you just can't get to.
Eric likes to display all of the junk mail that we get in any given day. So he picks up the mail, he comes into the house with it, and he leaves a piece in the foyer and another piece on a coffee table in the living room. Then he makes his way to the kitchen and he leaves all the individual pieces, and he doesn't even throw the envelopes away. He leaves them all laid out on the kitchen island.
Well,
bananas.
Yours is Eric. Mine is
Yeah.
Haley, my oldest.
Children.
She's always checking the mail, and
Yep.
it's always left on the countertop. Well, this is an interesting discussion, and I told Jamie that I was going to save this for the podcast. But this started the marital strife of 2022 in the Barrett household.
23. It's 2023.
Well, no, this happened in 2022.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, December 2022.
So you
marital
lived
strife.
through it, is what you're
We
saying.
lived through it. But anyone who's listened to the podcast for any amount of time knows that I am not the cook in the Barrett household.
She's not the cook.
It is Mike. And Mike is very particular about a lot of things in that kitchen and where they're placed and where they go.
And Mike, cheers to you. At least you use it. So I
He
guess
uses it,
you
yeah.
deserve to have some say.
He has some say, but the thing that occurs is he has an entire cupboard, full of spices and rubs and all sorts of things for cooking. And he wanted to take and also make another drawer into that. Let's take not just a cupboard, but also a drawer. And I had cleaned out
more spices?
For more spices and more
that's
rubs
a
and
lot
more
of
things.
spices.
I know, not needed. And him and I go back and forth because I'm the one that's supposed to control the clutter in the house, and I got tired of the clutter, and I made it a point in December to clean out the kitchen. He wasn't doing it, I did.
Sure.
And
How many spices did you find that expired 5 years ago?
none of them. None of them.
Oh,
There-
so
we
he's
had no-
using these
He's
spices.
using these spices. But I want to point out is he wants me to control that pile of papers on the kitchen countertop that have been acquired.
Yep.
And I even cleaned out...
Accumulating, I think is the word you were looking for
acquired,
there.
accumulated,
They
whatever.
accumulate fast, too.
Anyways, I cleaned out the junk drawer with the markers and the pens.
Yep.
I found a place for all the things, and I found an entire drawer to put junk paper. If it comes in, if I haven't had time to deal with it,
Why are you
put it there.
keeping it?
Well, some of it you need to keep. Some of it is the invitation for
I
the
know, it's
birthday
easy for
party,
me to say.
the
You're
tax papers that
So
you need to
basically,
hold on to.
everything that I'm sticking to the front of my refrigerator.
I'm putting in a drawer. And Mike wanted to co-op that drawer for more spices.
Oh.
And we were going back and forth, and I'm like,
sharing.
happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
And I pulled that on him, and I won. So
Did you get him a little basket?
Well, he has
For
lots
all
of
his
baskets.
spices.
He needs to calm it down. But anyways,
Man.
I won the drawer battle.
Gotcha.
I won the drawer battle.
So you have a paper junk drawer, sort of.
Yes, I have a paper junk drawer. That, yes, it's now
revisit the
full,
papers
and my
place.
weekend project will be going through the papers and keeping what needs to be kept for taxes and whatnot and all the things. But
Yeah.
I now can just put it in the drawer. Yeah, I have a drawer. I made room
hey,
for a drawer.
Whatever works for you. If you've got a place to corral the clutter, that is exceptional. Good
Yes.
for you. Mine will forever be in 6 different rooms of the house, and that's
Well,
just
there
how
you
it
go.
is. But
Moving
okay.
on.
Yeah. So here's one thing that we have gone back and forth with, Eric and I. Pendant lighting. So we've got an island. There are 3 pendants that hang above the island. I am looking for different ideas to put there, right? I still want 3 pendants, but I'm trying out different shades and things like that.
Which pendant? Do we change out the entire
Yeah,
pendant?
right.
What will look best?
So some pendants you can just look inside them. Some of them you can screw off sort of the shade that goes around your bulb just by first removing the bulb, and then there may be another screw piece in there that you can pull out. And so you can actually shop just for new pendant light covers or pendant shades. That's an option for people. And then you don't have to get an electrician involved. Or certainly updating that lighting, I think, especially if it's something that you just really don't like, that is such a big, impactful thing when you walk into your kitchen or wherever you've got these pendants to see these big light fixtures. And if you don't like them, I think that's a good place to actually spend some money.
Spend some money.
Hire the electrician if you can't find some shades to
Yes.
replace, or if you just have a totally different fixture that you don't care for.
I know I've asked this before, but what sites do you usually use, Jamie, to look for different fixtures?
Everything from Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards to Wayfair, Etsy, and Amazon. I mean,
Perfect.
Ultimately, you know where I go? Pinterest. I get some visual ideas, and then I start going from there.
There you go.
Another thing I wanted to say, in case, because I think a lot of questions that I get about islands just in general are, well, where do we hang the lights? How big should they be? How many can I put up there? And here's a quick rule of thumb. You're going to want to be about 30 inches, maybe 32, 34 inches from the top of your island counter, and about 30 inches apart from edge to edge of the fixture. Don't get this mixed up with from location to location of like the electrical connection.
The actual,
don't
the
be
actual
measuring
light unit.
Yeah, I'm saying if your shade on your light is a foot around, then you're gonna go one whole foot and then 30 inches from there before the outside edge of your next one whole foot round light fixture. Does that make sense? Don't be measuring those 30 inches from the ceiling is essentially what I'm saying. Doing it from the bottom of the shade or the widest portion
of the shade.
Yep, exactly.
Great tip, Jamie.
So, and another tip, try not to hang one right in front of the sink if your sink is in your island, because it will be, depending on how tall you are, right?
Imagine you get, if you
right at your eye level, right in your eyes.
Yeah, yes. You're going to constantly be bonking your head on it.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind too. 30 inches off the bottom or off the top of the countertop, and 30 inches apart from the widest part.
Perfect.
How about knobs? That's another really easy one.
That's an easy fix to change around.
You don't have to get a contractor involved.
You just need to know how to use a screwdriver.
Yes, and don't even worry about, obviously you need to keep track of how many holes your current knobs are putting in your cabinets, right? Whether you've got a knob or a pull that has two sort of screw holes in your cabinet doors. Take one off, bring it with you to the store, measure the distance between the two knobs if you're shopping online. Try to get one that fits in the space of the old one. You can certainly drill more holes into your cabinet doors if you want to, and
but
that's
what happens,
sometimes an okay idea.
But maybe, but you have to think about, is this the type of...
Is it appropriate?
Is it appropriate, one, but is that the type of knob or pull that you want to commit to for the rest of your
until you
life.
do it again.
Yeah,
until you do
correct.
it again. And it's okay to mix metals. Like your fixtures, your light fixture metals do not have to be the exact same metal as on your countertop pulls. Again, go to Pinterest, look around. There's a lot of different mixing of metals that's happening. And I think it looks really cool.
That's one fun thing
and
that
modern.
has really occurred over, I would say, the last 10 years is just seeing the mixing and matching of metals.
Yeah.
That's been really fun to see. Even bedroom furniture, you don't have to be so matchy anymore.
Totally.
So that's so fun to see and match and find letting people kind of find their own style. So
absolutely. And I think now if you want to go to the next level, I think islands keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
I've seen a couple double island kitchens, which, to each their own. That I can definitely see, like maybe you've got little kids, you set them up at one island and then you've got kind of countertop space in front of and behind you. Maybe you do islands next to each other, or maybe you just take the island you have and you're making it a little bit larger. But more rectangular almost. They're getting to be so wide, some of these islands. And I just think, oh, look at all that space. Especially if you've got a sink in the island or a cooktop in the island. It's really nice to space out where your people are sitting from where those objects are. Just gives you so much more counter space.
More room.
It looks cool.
Lots of ways you can go with the kitchen. So I know we've talked a lot of times too about updating paint colors, things such as that, but we're trying to shift a little bit different with this one podcast here.
Trying to get you into weekend tips. Island thing would take you more than a weekend, but
replacing pendants wouldn't.
Right, potentially not. And so again, along the line of, or in the spirit of trying to think of suggestions for a weekend project, painting sometimes takes more than a weekend, sometimes not. So obviously that's going to have a huge impact. But another thing you could do maybe before you look into painting is change the hue of your light bulbs in the room.
Yes.
And make sure they're all the same.
You know,
Please.
I say this all the time. I tell people, okay, when you're looking to sell, you know, the white lights generally show off a space in its best, you know, in the best
Most
way.
true, maybe, is
most
a good way of
true
putting it.
colors. But I'm not one that follows that advice for my clients. I love the warm hue because it feels homey.
You mean
To
you don't
me,
follow it personally
I
in
don't
your
fi-
home?
I don't follow
Got
it
it.
personally in my own home. Okay, yes, in the bathroom.
Classic. Do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly. Okay, not in my bathroom. In the bathroom, it's the white light. But if I'm sitting at home in my living room and I have my lamps on, I mean, they're a warm light bulb. I want to feel relaxed and comfortable. I'm not doing it for selling, but you know, everyone has their own comfort style and what works best for them. But one thing to keep in mind, from paint color to, you know, even the color of your upholstery to your flooring to the paint, everything. Yeah, the hue of that light bulb can change the look of what it looks like in your home.
For sure, for sure. And I think it's commonly overlooked. If you've got like a 6-bulb chandelier and 2 of them are warm and 4 of them are cool,
it's going to look awful.
It's
It's not going
just
to
change
be.
it.
Pick a color and go with it.
Just change it.
Pick a hue and go with it.
One or the other.
Well, moving into living rooms and whatnot, one thing I'll mention is, you know, I think it's important to remove any unnecessary furniture. If it's a piece that's just not needing to be there or not being utilized, collecting laundry, dust, junk, maybe it's time to let that go.
Yep.
I will Marie Kondo this a little bit with this podcast. If it's not something that brings you joy, maybe it's time to let it go. Something to think long and hard about. But if it's unnecessary, maybe you just don't need it. So,
one of my tips for a living room or family room space that you want to have a big impact in is change out the rug.
That's huge.
Sort of costly, right? Because big rugs, especially get into 9x12 and whatnot, they can cost quite a bit of money, but
they can make a
time
big
investment
impact.
is very small, and the amount of impact you're going to see is huge.
Well, the same thing with curtains too.
Yeah.
Curtains, changing those are up can really change a space as well.
Yes,
so,
and you've heard me say it before. I think I've said it a couple times. Hang them high, hang them wide. Get them up above the trim on those windows and get them wider than the sides of the windows too. And if you've already got curtain rods, guess what? Moving your existing ones, the new curtains will hang right over those holes. So just give it a try.
And you can fix it later.
You can. Yep. Hire somebody to come in and touch those up a little bit later. You're going to need to buy new curtains to go higher, right? Because generally speaking, what we most often see is that those curtains just ever so barely skim the floor. Maybe they puddle a little bit depending on how artsy you want to get. But tall, wide curtains, they make your windows look wider, bigger. How about the patterns on those curtains? I mean, maybe you are an excellent interior designer and you know exactly the right thing. And I know that I've seen some really fun, funky patterned curtains look stunning.
But sometimes
I think most of us
that can be trendy, and many times when you're going with the trendy direction, it can fade in terms of your excitement for a space. It can fade quickly.
It can.
So
for most of us, light colored,
neutral coloring.
Neutral, maybe a little bit of texture like a linen fabric or something like that.
And sometimes if you want to add a pop of color, sometimes that pop of color can be fun in pillows. Pillows, pillowcases, maybe a throw blanket, something like that is where you could add that color where you can switch around
and so
patterns
easy to
and
do.
Colors.
Yeah, like you say, switch them around for holidays and that kind of thing, and seasons and whatnot. So bring your color in with something that's maybe not your curtains.
Yes. Maybe pick something that's a little bit more neutral.
Right.
One thing that I like to add as well is you brought this up before the podcast, Jamie, but sometimes it's not just with paintings or pictures, but also knickknacks. If you're really unsure of what it looks like, take those items all down.
Yes.
Set them in one space.
A different space, like on the floor of a bedroom.
On the floor of a bedroom.
Just get them out of there.
And then start trying to bring items back and say what works, what doesn't. But you can't just remove one item. You should remove all the items and then start putting it back.
Right. You can basically shop your own house.
Correct.
Get your collective items of whatever is similar in one space that's out of your the room that you're really working on. And like say it's wall hangings. Take them down from most or several of the other rooms in your house. Set them up in your office, and then just on the floor. And if you're trying to redo maybe your living or your family room, grab those pieces, hold them up against the wall. Get your partner to help you out with this, and kind of shop your own stuff. And you might find that you really love that picture of your dog in this new home. In this new place for it, in this new spot, and I don't know, it just brings a whole new life back to a
specific item. One thing I can say too is also with the knickknacks or the decorations.
Same thing with the small pieces.
And that way you're just moving it around, but you're giving it a new life, and you're not feeling like your space is stale and old, and you can feel comfortable in it and bring life back to it. One thing I also wanted to add was bedrooms. One thing that I think is really important too is changing around linens. If you feel like your space is feeling old or overwhelming, or it's just not feeling the way it should,
a new duvet cover.
A new duvet cover can make a really big impact. Or if you have lots of pillows on your bedding, switching that out can be really helpful.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Yes. So those are just a few tips that we definitely have, and we hope that you can find a way to love your home and bring some life back to it.
Yes. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you hear, you can check out our library of tons more episodes on RealtorMomsPodcast.com. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or just about anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please never hesitate to reach out. We would love to be your realtors. This podcast is produced by Realtor Moms Podcast, Jamie R. Swenson and Tasha Barrett, Park Company Realtors, 4170 41st Avenue South, Fargo, North Dakota.